President Biden gets caught breaking D.C.'s mask mandate. Congresswoman Maxine Waters paid her daughter with campaign donations. And the FDA authorizes mix-and-match COVID booster shots. That and more on this week's headlines. Welcome to America Uncovered. I'm Chris Chappell. President Biden is being criticized for exiting an upscale restaurant in Washington, D.C. last Saturday while not wearing a mask. Between this and Afghanistan, Biden is about as subtle at making exits as Team Rocket. Biden was in violation of Washington, D.C.'s mask mandate, which he has supported on numerous occasions. And if you're thinking, what's the big deal? There's no rules against being maskless outside. Well, Biden was also caught on video walking around in the restaurant with no mask on. But before you get too angry at the hypocrisy on display here, we did some digging and found out that he actually is wearing a mask. Because that's not Joe Biden at all. Gavin Newsom? I knew it was you. Couldn't resist a fancy restaurant, could you? And he would have gotten away with it too, if it weren't for those pesky mask mandates that he helped put in place. White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki defended President Biden, saying that his mask indiscretion was just moments in time that don't reflect overarching policy. That's basically the same excuse a husband uses when his wife catches him not wearing a mask with another woman. It was just a few moments in time, sweetie. It doesn't reflect our overarching marriage. I'm surprised Psaki doesn't just use that excuse for everything. The State Department is launching a review of the Biden administration's disastrous withdrawal from Afghanistan. Hey, that rushed pullout was just a few moments in time. The Biden administration is flying underage illegal immigrants to New York in the middle of the night. Hey, those flights were just a few moments in time. The cages for children at the border are bigger and more full than ever. Hey, those cages are just a few moments in time. If you take this to the logical conclusion, you could say the entire Biden administration is just moments in time that don't reflect an overarching policy. Speaking of messes, the head of the Environmental Protection Agency announced they are looking to regulate long-lasting toxic chemicals. These chemicals, known as PFAS, can lead to serious health conditions and are turning up more often in drinking water and foods. The EPA is looking to prevent PFAS from being released into the environment and speeding up cleanup of PFAS contaminations. It's nice they're trying to get these toxic chemicals under control, but of course, the most toxic thing that the Biden administration is trying to figure out how to regulate is still Facebook. More after the break. Welcome back. Former Secretary of State Colin Powell died on Monday at the age of 84. Powell died of complications from COVID despite being fully vaccinated. Powell's immune response was likely affected by the fact that he had a type of blood cancer, which made him more vulnerable to the virus. So experts didn't find this to be any cause for alarm. Experts also didn't find any weapons of mass destruction in Iraq, but I'm sure they'll turn up any day now. According to campaign finance records, Congresswoman Maxine Waters used campaign donations to pay her daughter more than $80,000 this past fiscal year. Maxine Waters' daughter, Karen Waters, has received over $1 million in campaign money since 2003. Karen does work on her mother's campaign. Waters was criticized for this sort of thing way back in 2004, where it was first revealed that her son and her husband, along with her daughter, were being paid with campaign donations. Waters responded to these criticisms, saying, "They do their business, I do mine. We're not bad people." It's a shame Jen Psaki wasn't around at the time to chime in, just moments in time. That'll continue for at least the next 17 years. This story is disgusting on multiple levels. The first being the fact that any politician is allowed to be in public office for so long. Not just since 2004, she's been in Congress since 1991, which was 30 years ago. I'm seeing glimpses of my own mortality. The second most offensive thing about the story is that the child of a politician would just accept all of this campaign money instead of going out and hustling on their own, like Hunter Biden did. Say what you want about Hunter, but at least he's an honest grifter. Speaking of scams, Indiana Attorney General Todd Rokita filed lawsuits against several robocall companies for making illegal phone calls across the U.S. In the lawsuit, Rokita claimed many of the alleged calls were for scams, including but not limited to a computer support scam, an Amazon subscription scam, a Social Security Administration imposter scam, and several COVID-19 related scams. Wait, you're telling me that call I got from the computer technician that needed my Social Security number to get me an Amazon Prime subscription and COVID relief checks was a scam? But the pre-recorded voice sounded so honest. The Federal Communications Commission said that dealing with unwanted robocalls and robotexts is their top priority, and they're taking a number of actions to crack down on them, including looking at a proposal to block robotexts. I just hope they also find a way to block people who FaceTime you without warning. These people are clearly robots since they don't know how human beings operate. And after the break, Democrats in the House of Representatives are retiring. Welcome back. House Democrats Mike Doyle and David Price announced they would not seek re-election in the 2022 midterms. This makes 7 House Democrats that have so far announced they would retire instead of running next year. These departures leave the Democrats in danger of losing their control over the House of Representatives, as they now only hold an 8-seat majority. This is another example of Democrats breaking their own rules. After all, how many times have we heard them say that no one should leave the House in the middle of a pandemic? The Food and Drug Administration has authorized Moderna and Johnson & Johnson booster shots, as well as mixing and matching COVID-19 vaccine booster doses. And the CDC agreed. This means anyone who received the 2-dose Moderna vaccine or the 1-dose Johnson & Johnson vaccine can receive the Pfizer booster dose, which was already approved by the FDA. The FDA was originally going to announce that it was preferable to receive a booster shot from the same brand you received your initial shot with, but early results of a government study show that a booster dose with any vaccine might increase protection. Confused? Well, I'm not done yet, because studies also show that recipients of the Johnson & Johnson vaccine would receive several dozen times more antibodies when given a Moderna or Pfizer booster. Why did the FDA authorize this? To make getting a booster dose simpler. Yep, that convoluted explanation was their idea of making things simpler. Never ask for directions from the FDA. So what you want to do is make a left at the stoplight if you already made 2 rights, but make a right if you made 3 lefts, but not if your 3rd left was a right, which they usually are, right? Right. And children ages 5 to 11 will soon be able to receive their first doses of the Pfizer vaccine. Approval from the FDA and CDC is expected as early as November 3rd, and the White House already has plans in place to send out millions of vaccine doses to pediatricians. This means that the first children to receive their shots can be fully vaccinated as early as Christmas. So Santa doesn't have to worry about catching COVID from those kids. He just has to worry about catching diabetes from their cookies. I'm kidding. Santa already has diabetes. That's why he's so afraid of getting COVID, and why I didn't get a PlayStation 5 for Christmas last year. That's the only explanation. I was a good boy, Santa. You know who else COVID is a danger to? Animals, apparently, because the Cincinnati Zoo announced they vaccinated 80 animals against coronavirus. This is the angriest some people are going to be about the Cincinnati Zoo shooting up their animals since Harambe. Never forget. This COVID vaccine is different from any of the ones given to humans, which is going to lead to animals protesting these forced vaccinations since the vaccine isn't even FDA approved. And they'll call any animal that accepts this willingly sheep. Millions of people still don't want to get vaccinated, despite mandates. But Donald Trump says if he were still president, he wouldn't need mandates, as he'd be able to simply convince people to take the vaccine. Yeah, I'm sure that would work. If Trump were still president and pushing vaccines, CNN would warn its viewers not to take them since they make you sick for 24 hours. And YouTube would demonetize anyone for spreading misinformation, stating vaccines are mostly harmless and proven effective at preventing COVID hospitalizations and death. My question over Trump's remark is, why stop there? Let your imagination run wild. If I were president at the time, I would have prevented COVID from ever spreading. I would have also prevented the housing bubble from bursting. And I would have prevented the attack on Pearl Harbor. I guess what I'm saying is, vote Chris Chappell for president in 1940. And if you think that doesn't make any sense chronologically, just remember, it's just moments in time. So what do you think about the stories we covered this week? Let us know in the comments below. And remember, America Uncovered is supported mainly by viewers. Be sure to visit patreon.com/AmericaUncovered. Contribute $1 or more per episode. We rely on your support to help us keep making great episodes. Once again, I'm Chris Chappell. Thanks for watching America Uncovered.